Hey everyone, welcome and thanks for tuning in to Allied Health Mentors. My name is Eddie, and today I wanted to go over what you can do to beef up your resume if you don't have a lot of phlebotomy experience or any phlebotomy experience or allied health experience. So if you just got out of your program, whether it's phlebotomist, nursing assistant, medical assistant, x-ray tech, doesn't matter, you can use these resources. So if you haven't checked out my last video on how to apply for phlebotomy jobs or how to apply for allied health jobs, whether you have experience or not, go ahead and check that out. I'll link it in the description and I'll put an ad card up here. You should check that out. But before you do that, check out this video because I'm going over the actual resume part. I'm going to show you some examples and some certificates that you can use to beef up that resume. Don't let not having experience stop you. We were all new grads. We all started there at some point, but we all got in somehow. So you can do this too. So to start off, I'm going over my resume. So I looked back in my emails and I found the very first resume, phlebotomy related resume that I put, and I sent this out to people and I got some responses. Sometimes I didn't get any. But the way I got my first job is on Craigslist. And I know Craigslist can be kind of shady sometimes. I actually have a funny story about Craigslist. Again, I'll link that in the description and put it in the ad card. But I have a funny story about Craigslist, and this was after I had received my first job from Craigslist. So what I did is I copied and pasted this onto the resume portion of Craigslist, and some guy found it from staffing agency and contacted me and got me my first job. And this is not the best resume by far. I'm sure this dude was desperate and was just looking for someone to fill a position, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Because if you look at this resume, it's not formatted well. Like, there's no bullet points. It's 2 pages. The resume should be one. It should be a snapshot, a highlight reel of your experience. And this was just all bad. I don't know why he accepted it. But I tried to put anything I could. So I put my basic information, my contact info, and then I put whatever work experience I already had. So at the time, I was working for a school and I worked for an agency where I kind of babysat kids with disabilities. So I had that experience. So my point with that is that you need to add any experience that you have, even if it's not phlebotomy experience, because they're going to see either you have customer service or working with, kids or a certain population. They know that you can keep a job, that you can hold down a job. That's completely fine. Another thing is that you want to add your phlebotomy experience, whether it's big or small. So I added the externship that I did, and to complete my draws, like my 50 venipunctures and my 10 dermapunctures. Don't be afraid to add that. It's okay to add it. Even when you leave that externship, maybe ask for someone's contact info so that you can use them as a reference and put them on a resume or put them on your application later on. Don't be afraid to do that. And then I put my education. So I was at community college at the time. I put a brief description. I added that. I added where I did my phlebotomy cert at. And then I also added my BLS for healthcare providers cert on here so that they knew that I was BLS certified. And oh yeah, and my phlebotomy certificate. I would add your CPT-1 number or whatever your license number is if you're an allied health professional. I would add that, and then skills. So at the time, I had just gotten out of high school, so I knew a little bit of sign language. I've forgotten it since, and I've added whatever else. Again, this isn't a great formatted resume. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But this is just an example of where I started and where a lot of us start out is we don't really know what we're doing, and we just kind of go for it. But the point is to get started, to do something. Don't just stand by because you don't have all the answers. You need to try and you'll learn. And that's okay to do. So I want to show you where I'm at now. So now this is the resume I've used. Again, it's not a perfect resume, but this resume has worked for me. I've formatted my resume since much like this, and I've still gotten hired, and I think it's been good. So what I've learned is that a professional summary is a good thing to put because you're kind of selling yourself, and it's a very small. It's like a tagline. It's a headline of who you are in your experience, and so it's better. I've heard that it's better than an objective because an objective is a statement, but it's not really a selling point from what I've read or on blogs and stuff when it comes to resume writing. So I've included a professional summary. I've also included the certificates or certs that I have. So I have my phlebotomy cert, my license number, expiration date. I included my basic life support for healthcare providers, my BLS card through American Heart Association, and these trainings I've done through the CDC and FEMA. And I'm gonna get into this in a second and show you how you can do this too, because it's a lot of it shows a lot of initiative. If you don't have a phlebotomy experience, but you do have some type of cert, it shows that you put in extra work. So I think you should do this, but I'm gonna show you how in a second. If we go down, we have my other phlebotomy experience. This is stuff that I've done so far. Again, this isn't all of my phlebotomy experience. This is just like a highlight reel and my most recent. And so I have another resume that is 2 pages long. It includes all my phlebotomy experience, and I send that off whenever they ask for it, but it's not my initial contact resume. And then my education down here. So make sure you include your education. And yeah, that's about it. This is just, I wanted to show you my current resume so that you have an idea of where you could be. And if you want to know how to do this resume or how to make a resume like this, there's this program, or not a program, it's a website, but it's called My Perfect Resume. Now, it's free to start your resume, but it's not free to download it. You do have to pay for this to download your resume. And this isn't like an ad. This isn't, I'm getting kickback from this. This is just what I've used for years. And the nice thing about it is that it gives you these templates, and then you just kind of fill out your information. So you can view the templates down here. It shows you, kind of what employers are looking for. It's really cool. So if you start it, it's going to show you a template, right? It's going to let you, pick one if you wanted, and then it'll have you fill out the information. So if you already have a resume, go ahead and upload it, and it'll fill it out for you, or you can just create the resume from scratch, which is probably better because formatting gets messy if you just upload a resume you have. And then it prompts you to fill out this information, and it plugs it in for you. So first it starts off with your contact info and then goes to your education, but I can't move on any further unless I start plugging stuff in, but that's not what we're here for today. But here's just a template. This is actually similar to the one I have. So it's up to you how you want to format it. But this is a great tool. Again, you might have to pay to download it, but you know what? I think it's worth it if it's going to get you that job. So don't even worry about that. Next thing, this video is actually a direct response to someone who commented on my last video. I really appreciate it. That comes from Kimberly, and she asked me, one, if I'd create this video, which I did, and thank you, Kimberly, and thank you to anyone who's watching. Go ahead and comment, and I'll respond to you with a video or a message or a reply. But she also asked me about phlebotomy volunteer experience, or how to get volunteer experience in order to beef up your resume. And to be honest, sorry, there is not a whole lot or any that I know of positions that will allow you to volunteer as a phlebotomist and draw blood, because it does create a lot of liability. If even though you're licensed, you're not an employee, you're just a volunteer, and so it creates a lot of liability for that company. So they might not let you draw blood. So that's kind of tough. But the advice that I can offer is doing a volunteer or a hospital internship like Cope Health Scholars through Cope Health Solutions. So I was actually a Cope Health Scholar. When I started, we were clinical care extenders, but I did this for a year. I completed over 280 hours, which was a requirement to gain a certificate that's recognized through UCLA. And it just shows your employer or the program, like if you're applying to nursing school or PA school or pre-med. I met a lot of people applying to those different positions. It shows them that you took initiative and that you, although not working in the field as a phlebotomist or allied health professional, you went and you got hospital experience, and you took that extra step. It shows that you're a part of an organization bigger than yourself, that's geared towards helping patients, and I think that says a whole lot. So these are the different locations they have. They're pretty much widely spread throughout California, but they even get into Hawaii and Washington if you're around the country. But you can find not companies, you can find organizations like this throughout the country. Now, I will say that most or hospital volunteer programs are going to have you like answering phones at the front desk, and it gets kind of boring. And you'll do that here at Cope Health Scholars too. But what I like about this program in particular is that, one, they give you a certificate, and they give you a bunch of like tools and workshops throughout, but also you get to rotate amongst the hospital every 3 months. So like women get to do labor and delivery, men don't, but you can also do like cath lab, neurotelemetry. You can do FORMED. Well, at Glendale Adventist, it was FORMED because it was like a psych unit. It was like a lockdown unit, and it was a med surg unit. You can do emergency department where I was. There's a bunch of departments you can rotate through, and you do kind of get almost like a CNA training. So you get to take vitals, talk to patients, float with nurses and CNAs and help out those patients, transport patients, clean patients. It's not the funniest thing to do to clean patients, but hey, it's experience, and if you want to be a nurse, you're going to clean patients eventually. So might as well get a kickstart on that. So yeah, Cope Health Scholars is a great program, but if you don't have a Cope Health Scholars location near you, go ahead and reach out to your local hospital and just find a volunteer experience or volunteer program. And then that way you can put on your resume, one, that you participated or you're currently participating, and it's going to allow you to go in there and network with other hospital employees, and kind of find out where the jobs are. So maybe you'll be volunteering in a med-surg unit, but then the phlebotomist comes by and you could be like, hey, I'm a phlebotomist too. I'm trying to get a job. Any recommendations? How do I get in this hospital? Who's your manager? Can I speak to them? Things like that. Those are things that you need to think outside of the box and find these opportunities. Don't be afraid to ask. Just do it. Take action, and you'll get there. Next thing I want to go over, I showed you that I did have my BLS card here on my resume, and I wanted to make this point real quick that when you get your CPR card, don't get it from American Red Cross. And the reason being is that hospitals don't accept American Red Cross, at least not in my part of the country. In California, they don't. It's always American Heart Association. I don't know why, but they don't like Red Cross. And again, when it comes to American Heart Association, don't do the first aid Heart Savers certificate. You want BLS, Basic Life Support for Healthcare Providers. Make sure it's a BLS card. You don't want the Heart Savers because they'll make you do the BLS anyways. So don't do that. The only difference is that with BLS, it's geared more towards healthcare professionals, but also they make you take a test at the end, so I guess it makes it a cert. I'm not sure why, but just make sure you do BLS, not Heart Savers, and not Red Cross, American Heart Association. Also, you'll see PALS and you'll see ACLS, but these are more for people who run codes on, pediatrics and adults. So this is for respiratory therapists, nurses, doctors, physician assistants. These are the people who do their ACLS and PALS. So as an allied health professional in the field of like phlebotomy, x-ray tech, CNA, medical assistant, dental assistant, we don't need these because we don't really run codes. We might be there when they run a code, but we're not going to be at like the head of the bed or anything, intubating patients or bagging patients. These are for those, I guess, um, more specialized positions. So as a phlebotomist, CNA, medical assistant, x-ray tech, dental assistant, this is what you want. BLS, Basic Life Support. They won't let you take these classes anyways unless you have an advanced certificate or advanced certification. So just stick with BLS, American Heart Association. Also, I showed you that I had FEMA Certs. So I've taken not CPR. I've taken a EMT course before. I didn't finish it because I kind of was consumed with college and with my phlebotomy career, and so I didn't go through with the program. But while I was there, they did talk about the Emergency Management Institute with FEMA, and so FEMA, obviously whenever there's like a natural disaster, FEMA jumps into action and they kind of set up incident commands and they help people on the ground. And so you can get these certifications for free. You make an account and then you take these modules. They're not the most exciting modules, but you learn a lot. And then you take a test at the end and you get a cert. And when you get this cert, you can either put it in a portfolio and showcase it at your interview, or you can put it on your resume and just show that, again, you took initiative to learn about how to set up an incident command, how to delegate certain things to your team when there is an emergency. And again, as a phlebotomist, you might not be an incident commander when there's an incident happening or an emergency happening. If there's an earthquake or a fire, you're not going to be the one to lead people or lead a department, but you might lead your coworkers in an outpatient lab. You might have that experience to explain to your other coworkers what's going on, and I believe that shows a lot of initiative. So if you don't have phlebotomy experience, that's okay. Work on certs that you can do on the side to put on your resume, and this is a great example of that. So go ahead and look through this. The ones I did, because EMTs do need to do this, and that's why I did these, were IS 800, IS 700, 100, 200. So if it's good enough for EMTs, hey, it's good enough for phlebotomists. Why not? I think it's a great thing to have. It shows initiatives and it gives you some personal growth. So check these out, completely free. Add it to your resume. It's going to show that you have initiative and that you took on something bigger than just phlebotomy. Next, I also had the CDC training. So when I was working for the public health department up in Santa Clara County, we actually use the CDC for our package and shipping training. So what this training is about is, as a laboratory professional or an allied health professional, sometimes you might have to send out specimens, whether it's blood, urine, stool, sputum, or a biopsy, something like that. You need to send it out. But as a sender, you're responsible for anything that happens in transit. So if this package starts to leak or it explodes because you put dry ice in there and it had nowhere to leak out the pressure, like, you can be responsible for anything that happens with this. So if it's like tuberculosis and you send off tuberculosis and it's not packaged right and it infects, 5 FedEx employees on the way, you're responsible for that. Or if you send a vial of blood that's contaminated with or infected with, HIV or COVID or whatever, and someone touches it, and the reason it was spilled because you didn't put it in a rigid plastic container or whatever the rules are, you're responsible for that. So it's important to know as a laboratory professional how to package these specimens. And so this is a great cert to start off with. And again, I think it's free. I'm not completely sure, but I'm pretty sure it's free. These are just like professional modules to beef up, your knowledge. And there's other things like safety is probably another one you want to get into. But again, even if you're not, oh, look at centrifuge, you're going to use a lot of centrifuges and fume hoods in this field. So even though you don't have phlebotomy experience per se working in a hospital, you can have experience and training, and these are just extra things. And if you're for phlebotomists in particular, if you're applying to a lab, the lab manager knows about these trainings. So if they see like, oh wow, you did your phlebotomy program and you did these certs, I have my employees do these certs. Yeah, of course, come on, you can come on board. Like that's going to be a great selling point for you. And they're going to ask you like, how did you know how to do this? And you can just say, I really wanted to work here, and I sought out resources on how I can make myself the best applicant. And I think that's a great answer. So again, print out the cert, take the test, just put it in a portfolio, put it on your resume, show that you have extra knowledge that makes you the right fit for that position. I highly recommend these courses. Again, FEMA, CDC lab training, co-pilot scholars, or any type of volunteer experience, and your basic life support. All these are things that you can add to your resume that even though you don't have a phlebotomy experience to list on your resume, you can still be a good candidate, and you can still make it a lot better than what I had here when I first started out. Man, this is so embarrassing. I don't know how I ever got hired with this resume, but hey, now that you have the tools, I wish that I had someone that told me at the time, bro, you can do these trainings and you can make your resume look super professional. I hope this helps you guys. Again, thanks, Kimberly, for leaving this comment, giving me this idea. And then to anyone else out there, if you have any other questions on allied health or getting a job or getting hired or getting educated, put it in the comments, send me a message. Find us on Instagram, Facebook at Allied Health Mentors. Again, we're all here for the betterment of allied health professionals, to highlight what we do and showcase our skills. So I really appreciate you guys watching this video. Have a good day. Take care. Again, like, share, subscribe, comment. Yeah, do all that good stuff. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.